So one of the main concerns we have in statistics, right, if we're going to study us, is that we hope that the statistic is an accurate estimate for the parameter, right, so that it tells a story about the population. In order to do that, we're hoping that the sample that we get is what we call representative, and that's another key word here, representative of the population, right? The group of people that we sample, we hope how somehow, right, resembles the population of interest. And one way to do that is we try to do what we call random sampling, that there's a random component somehow to this, right? And that will ensure that we have a fair representation, that the sample represents the population of interest, the group of people or things that we're looking for, right? And so when we look at this image here, we have the population, all the people, and then we have to decide where we're going to choose or sample these people, and that would be called the sampling frame, right? It's a larger group within, it's a smaller group within the population, and then we choose people from, we're going to choose people from that frame. And we'll see an example of that right here at the bottom, where we see is we're interested in analyzing the results of all Santa Ana College math students, right? That would be the population. In order to figure everything out about all Santa Ana College math students, we'd have to take a sample. But we first have to decide where are we going to take that sample from. And in this case, we're choosing from 25 classes. So those 25 classes become what we call the sample frame. So it's not the actual sample, it's where we're going to be selecting the sample from within the population. And so those 25 classes become the sampling frame. So you can see the results there of this example, right? Of what the population sample is, right? So something to keep in mind in this specific example, right? That the data we're collecting, since this data, what we have here is spring 2019, was not a random selection of all semesters, we only can limit our conclusions to this semester alone, right? Our overall conclusions, because we didn't randomly select students from specific years. We chose that one there. So within that frame, right, we have to really start to think about how we collect data. Where do we get these samples from so that we can avoid what's called bias when samples are not representative of the population. And so important things to think about is sample size, right? Can 5 individuals represent 268, right? Is our class a representative of all students? So things to think about this idea of bias.